You're watching Outnumbered. Welcome to it. I'm Kennedy, and here today we've got Fox Business anchor Dagan McDowell, senior editor of The Federalist and Fox News contributor Molly Hemingway, radio host and Fox News contributor Leslie Marshall, and joining us today in the coveted center seat, host of The Next Revolution Sunday nights on Fox News, it is Steve Hilton. Welcome, everyone.
Good morning.
Hi, Kennedy.
I don't know what they're thinking about, Leslie, because if all you're concerned with is crowing about victories in the majority in the House and Senate, and Joe Biden is talking about who is going to not receive some federal aid in terms of COVID relief. So when you talk about the economy, it's really like the fourth or fifth thing on Joe Biden's list. Democrats are much more concerned about themselves.
Well, first of all, I've never heard President-elect Biden say that. I've heard him say the contrary. He has not weighed in on this impeachment. He has said that is the duty of Congress, and our Constitution is very clear that is the duty of Congress, which the House did. Now it goes to the Senate, obviously, and it is a Republican, the Senate Majority Leader, that decided to wait until after Donald Trump was out of office. And again, going to the Constitution, not very clear. Donald Trump will be a private citizen at the end of next week. Can we impeach a private citizen? Joe Biden has made it very clear: coronavirus, vaccines, the economy, getting people back to work, and getting our kids, because my kids are homeschooling as well online, getting them back to school. That's his focus. And quite frankly, it doesn't help him and his administration if this plays out for a long time in the Senate. It's a distraction not just to him and his agenda, but also to the senators, both Republicans and Democrats, that need to help work together in a bipartisan manner to get this done, to help America get back to where we were.
Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey defending his company's decision to ban President Trump from the platform. In a series of posts, Dorsey says he believes it was the right move, but admits the decision will have serious fallout. Dorsey tweeting this, in part: having to take these actions fragment the public conversation. They divide us. They limit the potential for clarification, redemption, and learning, and sets a precedent I feel is dangerous. The power an individual or corporation has over a part of the global public conversation. Leslie, the House Democrats put out a report, a subcommittee, just 3 months ago, that called these tech companies monopolies: Facebook, Apple, Google, and Amazon, and went through 450 pages of how it needs to be addressed in terms of regulation, even breaking them up because they're a grave threat to our society and our economy. Now what? Now these tech companies are currying favor with these very Democrats, basically trying to call off the wolves.
Look, there's a lot of things here. Certainly, they are monopoly. That's common sense. 2 + 2 is 4. At the end of the day, they're businesses. They don't care. I'm sorry. They don't care about free speech, and maybe they do care about promoting a liberal ideology. And quite frankly, that is their right. The First Amendment doesn't apply. They're a private company. But here is what does apply, and that's money, and that's what every company wants to make. And they are hurting their own business because there are many consumers out there that are going to say, "Forget it. If you're not going to represent and put forth my views, then I'm not going to be a part of it." All violent and dangerous speech should be removed from every individual on any of these platforms, because words have meaning. There's a reason the Bible said the tongue is mightier than the sword. The rhetoric can be dangerous. It can be like, a gasoline on a fire. We have seen that last week. But I really think that what Twitter's doing, and I actually, Molly, agree with one thing you said regarding the international and reach foreign-wise. Uganda, the government, has a complete blackout of all of these companies, Twitter, Facebook, et cetera, before their presidential election.
Acceptable. Now, meantime, freshman Democratic Congresswoman Cori Bush said this about impeaching President Trump. Watch.
If we fail to remove a white supremacist president who incited a white supremacist insurrection, it's communities like Missouri's 1st District that suffer the most. The first step in that process is to root out white supremacy, starting with impeaching the white supremacist in chief.
Strong words. Leslie, your thoughts when you see that?
Look, I do not think Donald Trump is a white supremacist. However, we did see last week symbols of white supremacy. We saw a noose that was hanging outside gallows. We saw Camp Auschwitz T-shirts, or 6MNO, standing for 6 million, not enough. Offensive to me as of Jewish lineage, having lost relatives in the Holocaust. We see individuals who have been arrested that are affiliated with neo-Nazi and white supremacist organizations. So, you know, I don't think that Democrats are playing the race card. I think it's very clear that there are people out there that hate individuals who are different than themselves based on the color of their skin or their religion, sadly also their politics. And I don't think Democrats need to, you know, bring this up. I think racism is very, sadly, alive and well in America. And I think we saw what it can be last week, sadly, when that is fueled with hatred toward those people who are different.
New concerns about freedom of the press as far-left Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says lawmakers are looking into forming an investigative commission to combat misinformation coming from the media. And this goes back to what we were talking about earlier, Leslie, is that you have big tech, these monopolies, working in coordination or at the direction of, in some instances, of these liberal politicians. So it's not just, again, this is a First Amendment issue, what Ocasio-Cortez is talking about, but then you also have this private crackdown on speech.
Well, first of all, you know, Twitter and a news network, in my opinion, are very different. You know, we in the media have a responsibility. You know, journalism 101, you report the facts and the story is not about you. There are individuals on networks all over the place that are giving their opinion. And I agree with Molly there that we need to help people to understand the difference between fact and opinion based on the facts that are presented. One last thing. Yesterday, I screamed out loud when I saw that the Washington Post announced where Joe Biden would be spending the night before the inauguration. We also have a responsibility to be careful and to be responsible, not just in the media, but our legislators as well. And security officials did say that when they had briefed our congressional members just a couple of days ago.
Critics accusing House Speaker Nancy Pelosi of going on a power trip. What? After she announced the House will soon be slapping hefty fines on lawmakers who refuse to go through new metal detectors. A first offense costs $5,000. Second time, violators would be hit with a $10,000 fine taken right out of the lawmaker's salary. This as the House also looks to reportedly impose fines starting at $500 for lawmakers who do not wear masks. The fine for a second offense would be $2,500. She really likes her control, Leslie. What do you think about this?
I think, quite frankly, it's sad that people can't, consider themselves not above the law. When I went to the White House, I had to go through a metal detector and, put things in a bin. When I go to the airport, and all of these congressional members go to the airport, they go through a metal detector. When I went into the chamber during a State of the Union address, I went through a metal detector. This is not about her having a power trip. This is about, quite frankly, her sadly having to run a daycare center when some of these elected officials act like petulant children and won't just follow the rules. Wear a mask, go through the metal detector. That's what the public has to do. You are not above the people that elected you into your positions. This is for the greater good. And quite frankly, I feel bad that she even has to do this. But she does, because you have to do something, and people love money, and maybe they will follow the rules now.